Kia ora. Welcome to the More Birds in the Bush webinar series. My name's Adrian Monks and I co-lead the program along with Susan Walker. I'd like to introduce Holden Hohaia, who's going to open the meeting.
Tēnā koe, Adrian. E ngā iwi o te motu nei, he raukurara tēnei, e titia nei e te ati awa, I te iti I te rai te katoa. Nā reira, e te iti e te rai, e ngā iwi mana whenua, ngā kaitiaki o Aotearoa o te whenua, tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou ngā rōpū manaki I te whenua, koutou katoa, nau mai, hara mai ki tēnei wāhi I purangi nei. Koe anō tāku hei whakatūwhera I tō tātou hui, ka taki karakia kia pai ai te haere o te kōrero. Nā reira, kia taunga ngā manakitanga a te mea ngaro ki runga ki tēnā o tātou. Kia māhea te hua mā kihi, kia toi te kupu, toi te mana, toi te aroha, toi te reo Māori, kia tūturu ka whakamaua, kia tīna. Hui e tā iki e. Kia ora tātou. Kei a koe, Adrian.
Thank you, Holden. Okay, first speaker up, I'd just like to introduce Susan Walker. She's just going to give a bit of a background to the next couple of days. Over to you, Susan.
Thank you, Holden. Thank you, Adrian. Ena rangatira, tēnā koutou, ko Susan Walker, aho. Can you see my screen? Right. Thank you, everyone. I've just got a little technical hitch here. My slides aren't moving. There we go. Thank you to everyone who's come along. Thank you for committing to yet more time in front of a screen in order to be here. We're delighted and we're really privileged to have you with us. We hope you get heaps out of it. It's going to be your questions, your ideas, your feedback, and your comments that are going to help us to overcome the distance and to make this work. Thanks to those who've worked and are still working hard behind the scenes. Thank you to Unflappable Tiffany for your amazing support with this event and for Gretchen for backing her up today. I want to say a massive thank you to the field teams whose epic efforts all over New Zealand have collected the data you're going to see presented in the next 2 days. I want to thank them for their commitment, their ruggedness and their attention to detail. And we're aware that behind every field sortie were people who freely supported and helped, shared their mātauranga, gave us knowledge and information, came out in the field, issued permits, dug out and shared data, kept us informed, and did the management all over the Motu that our research program relies on. We acknowledge and are indebted to all of this. Thank you. And we also acknowledge MBIE, our funder, without which the research could not have happened. And the in-kind co-funding, meaning in effect the sharing of people and of data by DOC, Osprey, Taranaki Maunga, Taranaki, Greater Wellington and Waikato regional councils, as well as Auckland Council. So this is the first time the More Birds researchers have got to see all of our work so far together. We're really excited and we're a bit nervous. It's a bit like a wedding day. We're wondering whether we've remembered the ring. This is the first time we've presented a lot of these results, and I suspect some models were still running over the weekend. So I hope you'll bear with us. Your questions and your comments are going to be gold for us, so please ask them at any time through the question facility, which is this little beast, as they occur to you. Don't hold back. We hope each speaker will leave a few minutes at the end of their presentation, and also we've scheduled more question sessions after the breaks to answer more. Importantly, please identify who your question is to, say to Dave, how often do ship rats erupt at Nelson Lakes? And at the time we see your question, we won't be able to know who's asked it. So if you like, but this isn't mandatory, please identify yourself too. It's to Dave from Jill Blogs, how often do ship rats erupt? As time is short, we may not be able to answer all of the questions that come to us through this facility over the next 2 days, but they will be recorded and we'll endeavour to answer them all after the workshop, because at that stage we will be able to track who asked them. John Innes's presentation is going to superbly set the scene for our research. next. But so just a few words from me about the program and the next few days. Our research aim is to create the ability to predict threats and forest bird outcomes across all of New Zealand's different forest types so that people can better restore those forests and the populations of forest birds within them to health by developing management approaches that better meet their aspirations for the forest and are better for birds. Our research focuses on restoring Manu and Aotearoa's large remaining forest tracts, and it's got a big emphasis on the gradients of temperature across them. So warmth decreases as you travel from north to south and from west to east. Our coldest forests are simple. They have relatively few plant and animal species in them and little food and few predators. Warmer forests are richer, they support a greater diversity of species, they provide more food resources, and they should support bigger and more healthy populations of forest birds, but today they don't. And in large part, we think this is because they have more pests. And so warm forests are both a great problem and a great opportunity if we care about more birds in the bush. As our research progresses, we're confirming just how few of our forests truly have those cold forest characteristics. We used the figure just 16% in our research proposal, but even that number is a moving feast, and it's probably shrinking because all too rapidly New Zealand's forests are becoming warm forests. Climate warming is upon us. Warmth and the food resource productivity associated with it favour the predator that's the major focus of our program, shiprat, which is hard to control and manage. To be able to predict this threat and the responses of birds and their management to it, we need a better handle on forest food resources, and this is going to be the first half of the day. We're going to focus on this with talks from Adrian, Joe, and Oscar on behalf of research teams. We also need to know how effective our management is, and presentations in the second half of today after lunch by Joe, Dean Anderson, Dave Kelly, me, Josh, and James Griffiths are going to cover this. Sorry, that's the session just before lunch and after lunch. And we need to know how birds in the bush respond to food, predators, and management. And this occupies the first part of tomorrow with Graham Elliott, Ange Sesselman, Doug Armstrong, and Zoe Stone presenting on behalf of their research team. So in all of these areas, there's still work to be done and to come, but today is a start. The next parts of the webinar ask what we can do together to help achieve people's goals for the forest. So before lunch tomorrow, we'll hear some perspectives from managers working in large forests, and we'd like you to add your own. Then after lunch, we'll discuss ways in which we can bring all of the strands of this research together and on the ground needs in case studies across New Zealand. We look forward to these 2 days with you. Matua from me.